And today with me, I have an incredible person. I always have incredible people on my show. His name is Wayne Vaughn. Wayne Vaughn. He is the husband of Wanda Vaughn of the Emotions. You remember the Emotions? So welcome. Ta-da! Fantastic. Wayne, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. Now, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all my guests. Who is Wayne in a nutshell, in a peanut shell, or a crab shell?
No, I'm going to take a crab shell because I love the taste of the delectable crustacean. And in a crab shell, I would be one that moves around a lot. And not to be a hermit crab, but the crab that has its own shell and own body, own kind of thought process. So I'm an independent thinker and I think for myself. And I mean, I'm a simple soul. I'm not very complex, less movable parts. And I like to make people feel good, happy. I don't like to bring people down. I like to bring and uplift people and uplift humanity. So if I had a job to do in this world, it would be to uplift and give. And guess what? When I give, just blessings come to me without me trying to go off and say I need to do whatever. But power of the spoken word is the most powerful force on the universe. So when I say I want to do something and speak it, there's nothing I've not said that didn't happen.
Excellent, excellent. You certainly are a man who is in control. Not in control in an egotistical way, but in control of who he is and responsible for his actions.
Let me see. Let me see. Okay, let me see. 3, 4, let me see. Song that I used to love when I was growing up by Wayne Shorter called Speak No Evil. So that little vibe of the arrangement is something that we are going to lay because I have one of my daughters that loves to dance salsa. She's dancing with her high heels on travertine floor and I got the mic on there. So we're recording the so that bass line is going with her foot pattern.
Excellent.
And it makes interesting listening. And you can dance to it too, because now this is about everything that I want to do in this next dispensation of music. I want it to be danceable. Even though without trying, I'm more like ballad, kind of funky, but slow. It's not like make you want to dance.
Yes.
But tempo is free. So if I make it, faster and danceable than it would be. So just my natural thing is going to be more slower and stuff. And also, I mean, those are not really pop chords, but it's what I hear. So I like to do that kind of stuff. And then add the funk to it. So, and we just vibing and trying to make, but I just don't want to do the same thing I've been doing all the time in my life. So I'm searching for these particular type of things, and if I keep searching, I'll find it. It's being complex right now.
Okay, excellent. Fantastic. And what was that?
That was a song I wrote, or did when I was about 22 years old, and just never played it. I ended up recording it in the 90s, like 95.
And what's the theme, the title of it?
It was called The Brazilian Tune. That was just because of a lack of another lyric or another title, but I always thought it was Brazilian, but it was sort of like a Brazilian kind with a salsa kind of, and a hodgepodge of things. I didn't know what I was doing at 22. I was just having fun.
Okay. So, Wayne, we are now going to take you back a little. I mean, you just played a tune that you did when you were in your 20s, but just give us a little bit of history in terms of your involvement in the music industry, because I know there's so much but we're going to just give people a little taste of that particular journey.
Well, the journey started early in life, elementary school, playing the flute. And then from there, I went to learn the piano, or tried to learn the piano, still learning. And I was at 13, so from 9 to 13, and then from 13 to 16, and then that's when I decided I wanted to be a musician. I was torn between a scientist, a mathematician, or a musician. So I decided to go with the music because I was very passionate about it, but I was also passionate about science and mathematics. So and I still am, I was into astronomy big time and things of that nature, but the music stuck. So I went to learn everything that I could learn about music, and I went through high school and went through college. Then I graduated from UCLA, and from that journey, it took me to meeting Quincy Jones and going on the road with a group called the Brothers Johnson, and I was touring for many years out on the road, like 6 solid years, and then maybe a couple of more where I met a few more artists. And I met a lot of guys, seen them come, seen them go, and I decided that the road life wasn't necessarily that I was cut out for. I wanted to start a family and, do all that stuff. So that would have me to be in town more. So if I could be in town making the same or better money in town, then it would afford me to be able to have a family and come home and play with my kids at night, as opposed to me living out of a suitcase every night.
Excellent.
So
excellent.
It came from there. So that was the journey to get to that point. And then from the Brothers Johnson, a little group named The Emotions opened up for the brothers. And in that journey, I met Wanda, and then we got married, and I started having a bunch of kids. I made a joke with her and said, I'm going to keep you barefoot and pregnant. But the power of the spoken word once again, because I literally did that. And not really meaning to, or not giving into consideration that what I had learned about the power of the spoken word, one thing about it, it does happen. So jokingly I said it because I've always had a wedding date for me set on June the 33rd. It had been there since I was a kid. And it finally, June the 33rd finally came, and I got married and had the babies. And then the journey continued by meeting Maurice White through Wanda, because they were being produced by Maurice. And I met Maurice, and we were working on Emotions Project. And he says, Wayne, you got any songs for the fire? And then that brought us to me working with Earth, Wind, and Fire that was in 1978. And I worked with them until 2005, that I did the last record on Maurice singing a song, right when he was going through the beginning of his Parkinson's disease. And we had a great relationship. It was a lot of fun, and we just kept doing music. And he influenced me in a lot of ways. I was already who I was, but then his work ethic was outstanding. He was infectious with going in there and making stuff happen. So I came out of that relationship, and then we started, Wanda and I started having, with the kids and everything. I settled down into raising children and having fun doing that. So each thing, from music to raising a family to cooking to designing clothes and then having them realized, and any and everything that I wanted to do, I just said, hey, I want to do that, and I started doing it.
Excellent. So play me something. Play me something. Say it again, Sam. Play it again, Sam.
Oh, see, Sam like these complex harmonies.
Play it again, Wayne.
don't sing.
Sorry.
Oh no, I'm just saying that was one of those songs of the 3 songs that we put on the Raise record.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one. And if you had a thought, that was the one that I thought was going to be the biggest song.
Okay.
Not the other song.
Well, hold on now. I just want to keep rolling because I know your editor can do this. Now that you all are conversing and he's not playing, it would be great to get a shot with both of you facing the camera in some way. Now, I like your seat because there's really nowhere else for you to sit. Dad, if you can some kind of way.
Come over here.
Okay, wait, that looks pretty good.
Sam, peace.
That he was saying he thought.
I just thought I Want to Be With You was going to be the big song because it kind of reminded me of the Beatles. I don't know why back in the day, but of course it was more complex than the Beatles. But it just had something. Wanna be with you. I thought it was like that, but anyway, it wasn't meant to be because, like I was telling you, the promotion and distribution and putting it out and all of that. And if any one of those ingredients are missing in there, you got a souffle that fell. You know? So Let's Groove just happened to have all the components that it needed to get to that point. And, one and done. That was for the situation at that time. It was just good. So, but working with, like I said, the bands and Maurice and then the other things, I was just telling the kids, I don't keep a good mental mark of some of the things that I've done. So the one time we were in London, we were doing a group.
You came to London?
Yeah, I produced a band over there. It was a band called Osabisa. And there was an African group out of Ghana, I think, or West Africa somewhere. And it was a model named Beverly Johnson. And Danny Sims is businessman, and he was, working in the music business, and he had a situation at Arista Records. Was it Arista? Yeah, I think. Anyway, he had a situation that he could get these 2 groups together, and he wanted 2 songs. They already had a whole record. So he wanted 2 more songs, and we ended up recording 2 songs in London on Osabisa. And then Frankie Crocker on WBLS in New York went on the record, and I come back to LA and I'm doing stuff, and one of my boys, Ed Eckstein, that ended up being the president of Mercury Records, signing like Tony, and signing Brian McKnight and Vanessa Williams and some more stuff. But Ed, instead of Billy Eckstein's son, he was one of our managers of the Brothers Johnson. He said, he used to call me Uncle Earl for some reason. One of George's and Lewis's uncles played piano was named Earl, Uncle Earl. So they would say, Uncle Earl. So Ed came one day, we were in the office, and he said, Uncle Earl, man, they playing a record on WBLS. I think you got one. I'm like, huh? What's that?
Is that Let's Groove?
No, way before Let's Groove.
Okay.
Way before. This was on Osabisa, the African group. This was in 1979. So it wasn't far from Let's Groove, because right after that year, we did Let's Groove later on in 1980. And it came out in 81. Came out the same year. So Let's Groove has just been out as long as Wendy's been on the planet. So she's the Let's Groove tonight, baby. So, but yeah, I did some work with Lionel Richie. I did some work with Glenn Frey. I did some work with, who was the guy that did the Sweet Caroline? Who is that? I can't think of his name for nothing, but he's, but we did a movie. He did a remake of the jazz singer. Neil Diamond.
And the first song you and Mom wrote together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We worked with Patti LaBelle and Aretha Franklin and some more people like that. But no, it's the thing. If somebody don't come and tell me these things, then I can be talking about it for 2 hours, and I will mention everything but those things, because I literally don't remember. I mean, I remember when it's brought to my attention, but I don't keep a record of like, well, hey, look at my thing. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. No.
You're just enjoying the process and going along through the process.
Well, I'm just, I mean,
Your thing.
one of my biggest accomplishments, I was telling one thing at a seminar one time. I said, I think one of my biggest things was having a bunch of kids. You know? I mean, it was like, that was more or just as or more accomplished than anything that I did as a musician.
How many kids do you have, by the way?
At 5.
Okay.
You know?
Great accomplishment.
You know, and it was just in terms of having a bunch of kids, it kept me, I don't know, it kept me rounded off, rooted, because anytime that I wanted to do something that maybe I would have to say, oh, these curtain climbers, I can't do that because I got to do this. Okay. And I come back to reality, because sometimes I just want to say, hey, y'all go over there and play with each other and I'll see you later. And then sometime when Wanda would leave and go on the road or do something, I'm, you know, well, you know, it was, I was a great Mr. Mom. I had no problems
Mr.
with,
Mom, I like that.
with being a Mr. Mom, because when I would go on the road or do something, then, you know, it was always, I would leave Wanda with the kids, but that's expected for the woman to do. But for the man to do, one thing good, I could comb hair. They would beg to differ with that one. I could cook. I could wash. I could iron. And I knew how to clean up, you know, after myself. So I never needed anyone to cook or clean or nothing. As a matter of fact, Wanda would go, oh, honey, would you wash my white blouse and iron it? Okay, baby. And I'd be in there, because she can't, I mean, I know she can, but she prefers not to iron.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
You know, well, Wendy, I mean, same, I mean, my kids, I mean, my brother and I could cook, we could clean, we could iron, we could do any and everything. He just passed away recently, and his wife came and said he had to hire a housekeeper because they didn't realize how much work that he did.
Yeah.
You know, keeping the house. I mean, I do 2 things. I'll keep the kitchen and keep the house and keep the cars clean. You know, I keep the cars, and then each one of my kids will come, Dad, it rained last night, and would you wash my car? Hey, I just did all of this, and I'm doing taxes and doing bills, and okay, I'll go out and wash the cars. So then I'm washing 3 and 4 cars. So I go through that. So that's why.
Hire or rent, what would she say? Rent a man, but not in that sense.
Well, here's the thing. What I do though, is not work to me. I don't mind. And when I do something that I mind, I'll do just like Mom used to tell me back in the day, and I'll tell them and they know. I'll go, don't make me put my foot down now. Because that means ain't nothing going to happen. And my mom's had a real good attitude about going on strike. When she go on strike, no food, no wash, no money, nothing. So we all had to do our own thing. And I'm telling you, I went to work at 16 after I was working with my dad at 13. But I went to work at a market in the hood called Harry's Market.
The hood. I just love that, in the hood.
In the hood. In the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at Harry's Market, and would you believe they filmed the Serena and Venus movie?
Okay.
And my market that I worked at 16 in 1969, they cut the scene where the dad make them walk home from the market. That was the market that I worked in, the neighborhood market on 87th and Compton Avenue. So I haven't seen the movie yet, but I hear the stories in the movie. So I said, okay, I got to see that, because the hardest thing for me to do is to sit down and watch a movie.
Because you're always so busy.
I keep myself acclimated in nature and my mind free and clear. So for me to invest sitting down for 2 hours to watch a movie, and usually when I do that, the movie's not good. And the worst thing about movies, it wouldn't be with that movie because I understand it. It was like autobiographical or whatever, but I can figure movies out. And I hate doing that. I hate watching a movie that I figure out what's going to happen before it's happened. So, yeah, okay, you know me. I'll go off on some other tangents when we talk.
So we're just gonna rein this in a little bit. So what are you doing now, Wayne? You know, you've had quite an eclectic, I love that word, musical career. You've had quite an eclectic life, and it's been great that your children have been the center of that focus, and that's given you the pleasure, the joy, and the fulfillment. So what do you feel, other than your children, have been your greatest accomplishments musically?
Well, believe it or not, you have come over to my house and witnessed what is in the making since the end of 2019. Everything that I go and what I put together and do, something comes up to stop it for some reason. And it goes from 2006, when I was starting to do the house. Then we have a mudslide hit the whole house. Okay? It wasn't from a rainstorm, but it blew like, I don't know, maybe 100,000 cubic feet of dirt into the house. Blew the windows off, blew the doors off from the backyard. It was a geostatic explosion. And it blew this mountain into my kitchen, knocked Wanda down. If she had fell face down, she'd have been buried in like 8 feet of mud and water. It was horrific. It was traumatic. But I was in the process of redoing the house right then. Not knowing from 2006 that I wouldn't even have a kitchen. The kitchen that you see in there, we didn't get back till 2008.
Wow.
So now I went into a new thing that I said, okay, I'm going to put the house back together. It's been 14 years since that happened. So you're in a room that you see this big computer down there. This computer, you can cut Star Wars on that. Okay. So I bought a computer that you can cut movies with, because music now is, for all intent and purposes, nowhere near the music that I was doing. So you have to go visual, and we're in a process to go visual with that stuff. So the music always will be a big part, but I'm getting feel for the music with the video. With the video, with the visual. So this room that we're in tonight is called the Dungeon. And this is Dungeon West. Over there's a Dungeon East. You see all the instruments and everything that I have all over the place. Well, this is the studio. We've done many records down here. But now I have you're setting on some focal monitors from Paris. I just got them in today. I ordered them at the end of December. It took that long because everything is backed up. So I had to be patient and go, okay. But I have JBLs, I have KRKs, I have more equipment than you can shake a stick at. But now we're putting it all together with why we have these lights up here, because we've started to do like what my kids are doing, like Wyann is coming over a little later and she's been doing the podcast. Okay, so she has a podcast board. I just bought her a podcast board. And so she has that. So what we're doing, the new thing is, first of all, I'm making a set out of my whole house. The kids are all grown, so I'm using my house as my set.
Excellent.
So this is a set. So all this stuff you see, this is a SSL Dante board. So it all looks crazy. This is my vocoder talk box. And we got more stuff than you can shake a stick at. So now we have the cameras. So we are in the process of making visual along with the music. Now, have we been doing that all along? Yeah. Almost every song we do, we cut a video to it. But now the music is not the catalyst for the video.
Okay.
The video is going to be the catalyst for the music. So the music is going to be, because, you know, I can underscore and I can put some complex carbohydrates in another kind of vibe. So to make some real symphonic type of things to go along and make it dramatic or make it funny and light. So we're going to do that.
You're going to get creative.
I'm going to get to the point that I want to go outside of our comfort zone, outside the box, and create, just like you said. But it's like not with the contrived. I'm not trying to make a hit. I will not try to make a hit again. But what I will do is try to enlighten and to do what we were talking about at the beginning of this whole thing, to uplift and edify and bring some hope to people that maybe don't have certain concepts in them or have an inkling or mustard seed. And all you got to do is have that much of faith for you to have great faith.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all kind of degrees of it. And I want to be more of a catalyst of that. And then the music will be a part of that. And then we do jam sessions all the time. Matter of fact, we're about to do a barbecue coming up in May. And there was more musicians at the one in August than it was regular people. Everybody there were musicians. And one of my boys brought a PA system that was, young Jeff brought a PA that was the size of, you could have done the Greek theater with this, an amphitheater outdoors. Well, we just did it in an open air Griffith Park, and we had so many bad musicians that you would know that everybody's played with everybody, and just bringing people together. But one thing for sure, the music is not dead, but it's just a different way to do what we used to do. But we're back.
And on that note, and winding down, I'm going to ask you to give us another rendition of something, because the music isn't dead. So I'd like you sort of to play out with something that you think is going to be, that's really going to reach out and touch people.
Know.
So, and your daughter is saying in the background, she knows what that's going to be. Going to go out with a big bang.
What that is not, Wendy want me to play something that's not finished, and I don't know if I want to put that out. You know, Want to Be With You is finished. That other 22-year-old song, that's all copywritten and finished.
Oh,
but just
side by side.
I'm going to get up and leave you to think about what you want to play out with. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have some sort of rendition from Wayne Vaughn.
She's asking me, ladies and gentlemen, to do stuff that well, let me see.